Yes. What is it? Hello?
All right, Prince Lekan, we are live now.
Oh. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. What we're trying to do is to make a presentation of the recommendation of the African Diaspora. What we have done in the last few hours is to combine, and you know that 3-day work is not easy to combine in half an hour. But however, we've tried to do one day groups, and I will invite Anne to give a synopsis or just a rundown of what we have done. Anne, please go ahead. Question and observation. But let me stress, this is work in progress. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Prince Lekan. Yes, this has been a very exciting symposium. And yes, we do have some recommendations. We had 7 sub-themes and we have 2 recommendations each. So what I will go ahead and do is just read each one of them. Can you hear an echo? I hear an echo.
I can hear you. Have no recommendation.
We have an echo on from you, Anne. Just all the tabs on your side in the support group where you are. Just
the echo is on my side?
Yes.
Yes.
Just close all the tabs on your side.
All right. Sorry about that. I'll go ahead and read out the recommendations.
As well as Prince, please use all the tabs. Thank you.
All right. So we had, like I said, 7 sub-themes and 2 recommendations each. I'll go ahead and go through each of the sub-themes. The first one was the AfCFTA, Diaspora Trade and Investment, which was focusing on business. So in regards to the first African Diaspora Symposium, what we discussed were the opportunities and challenges by the incoming Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that would be implemented in January 2021. And the meeting commended the 54 states that have signed the AfCFTA and the 28 countries that have ratified it. They recognized the challenges ahead, notably that each signatory state must rapidly improve its business environment, develop its education and human capital, invest in supportive infrastructure, strengthen its institutions, and work in concert with its business association to not only facilitate incoming investment and trade, but also open up to fraternal African businesses and investors. And all states that have ratified the treaty should work in concert to build, promote, and inculcate in their political, social, and economic leadership, institution, and opinion shapers a strong and enduring Pan-Africanism in letter and in spirit. The meeting further noted that the opportunities presented by Pan-African markets were immense, and harnessing them would not only create employment, wealth, and social economic transformation of each participating countries, but will also enable the engagement of African firms in global value chain and increase the share of African goods and services consumed by its 1.4 billion consumers. The meeting also resolved to make full use of Prosper Africa program promoted by the United States to promote strong trade and investment ties between Africa and America, and in particular leverage leverage trade and investment ties between the diaspora and continental African. So that was the first recommendation that we had during this symposium. The second one in the business sub-theme is that in the business section, we took note of the opportunities and challenges facing direct investment and trade between diaspora and continental business, and the lack of progress on this front. This was really highlighted around that. While there are substantial resources and programs available to diaspora businesses that may wish to invest in African ones, there are limited opportunities and institutional pathways for investors and investees to meet, understand one another's demands and needs, and engage in complete transactions. The most important challenge is lack of sufficient information, knowledge, and intermediating institutions to enable the diaspora and continental business to engage. Thus, the Africa Diaspora Alliance resolved to support practical ways to enable successful engagement for purposes of investment and trade between the diaspora and continental entities, including Prosper Africa, and to advocate for greater engagement between the United States government and African governments to make the full use of the resources and opportunities presented to business under Prosper Africa. So under the business sub-theme, those are the two highlights that we saw during this symposium. The next sub-theme I'll look at is the AU Agenda 2063 and diaspora mainstreaming, which is really important, which was a very important topic during this symposium. The first thing we discussed around the opportunities and challenges, again, was, sorry, give me a moment. It looks like that's just a repeat. Let me go ahead and just talk about economic emancipation in the wake of Black Lives Matter. So the meeting resolved to encourage greater sensitivity in the communication of the role of Africa historical diaspora to contribute to Africa's development. Despite the modest economic reach of the average African American, most appeal to historical diaspora to invest in Africa assume that all African Americans are wealthy. The meeting resolved to champion a more nuanced outreach strategy to historical diaspora to enable the Africa Diaspora Alliance to engage with historical diaspora as equal partners. We have to come together as equal partners. The second highlight around economic emancipation and Black Lives Matters movement was that the diaspora noticed the centrality of meaningful engagement with global supply chains in protecting against economic subjection. So the meeting resolved to champion the participation of Africans in global trade as the foundation on which economic emancipation will be attained. So we do need to make sure that we're participating in global trade as Africans and the African diaspora. I'll go ahead and now talk about the third sub-theme, which is education, human resource, and knowledge hub. So during the symposium, we really talked a lot around technology and digitalization. So it was highlighted that they need to deepen technology in Africa through policies that will create a vibrant ecosystem. The outcome of this will improve efficiency in both public and private sectors. It will provide jobs, reduce poverty, promote entrepreneurship, support local content, and create science, technology, and knowledge hub. So it's very critical that we deepen technology in Africa. The second outcome, or the second recommendation out of the symposium, was that education is urgent, need to revisit our education system. We need to make sure that our education system is more relevant to meet the challenges and the opportunities in the ecosystem and the opportunities in the future. We need to revisit our education system. All right, so then the fourth sub-theme that we have was really around the mindset shift, transformational leadership, and good government. It's been highlighted that what Africa really needs is leadership. So in this sub-theme, we look at mindset, right? So the mindset of Africa, the mindset of the African diaspora, and the mindset of the world. It is very vital for us to build confidence in Africa, particularly in relation to human capital development, because we know that Africa has more than 1.2 billion people. And so it is very clear that the human capital is the only sustainable resource in Africa. And so we need to be able to put attention to that. The second thing we looked at in regards to this mindset shift, transformational leadership, and good governance is it was highlighted that good governance and the rule of law are primary prerequisites of human development and investment. Without these two, without good governance, without following the rule of law, then nothing can function appropriately, and therefore no investment will come onto the continent. So it's very critical that this is taken into consideration, because when you put in mindset and you look at good governance and rule of law, then this will encompass human and national development in all the countries in Africa and also to the Africa diaspora. All right. So then now we come into the fifth sub-theme, which is cross-cutting issues. And in this, there were various things that were discussed. There were discussions around gender, around youth, around ICT, around climate change. So in this sub-theme, we looked at two things. The first one is technology. Technology. Even as we're using technology, it was actually highlighted that in technology, what are there are three things that need to be looked at when we're looking at these cross-cutting issues. We recommended that education, and especially EdTech, is something that needs to be really looked at. We looked at healthcare. Healthcare is very important, and so when we're looking at health tech, and also we actually saw some companies that are actually in this space. Healthcare and is very important when you consider that in regards to technology. And then the third thing was actually digital assets. It was highlighted last night under the cross-cutting issues that we really need to look at digital assets and how that will grow our economy. The second thing that was looked at in cross-cutting issues was basically the creative economy and the African culture. It was highlighted that language is very, very important, and Swahili language was actually identified as an unifier. As Africans, we need to be able to communicate better, we need to be able to understand each other, and so language is something that we can use that will be able to take us forward as we grow our countries and grow the diaspora engagement. The other thing we looked at when we talked about creative economy is basically the creative arts. And this is where it was highlighted and recommended that the youth should be able to do something around this. But beyond the youth participating in creative arts, what they need to do is be supported to ensure that there's economic development and that we as Africans and Africans in the diaspora are promoting our culture in the best light. So those were the two things in regards to cross-cutting issues: technology and the creative economy, which includes our culture. I will then now go to healthcare. Healthcare is really important, especially at this time that we are going through this COVID situation. So what we would like to highlight that was discussed during this symposium was basically the first thing, which is creating a vision of better health for Africa. The foundation that we really need were highlighted in three things. One, human resource. Human resource in regards to healthcare is very important. The second thing was good governance. Good governance is important, and visionary leadership. This is something that was given as a challenge to the young people because it was said that they cannot engage in development without paying attention to the nation's health. And then the second thing we discussed or was recommended under the health sub-theme was basically increasing the financial resources devoted to health and the management of these resources and good service delivery to the people, especially the vulnerable, the dispossessed, and the poor. This is very critical as we go forward into actionizing after this symposium. I will go ahead also and talk about, I think I missed the AU agenda. So just give me a moment because we had two highlights with the AU agenda, which also discusses, okay, just give me a moment there. All right. AU agenda and diaspora mainstreaming. All right. So in regards to that, to AU agenda, we need to mainstream the diaspora agenda, which is, and there are many limitations. So the recommendation was, how can we work with the poor quality of information that the diaspora mobilizes? The meeting recommended that all diaspora stakeholders should commit resources to developing the information infrastructure to support the diaspora. It was also resolved that the Africa Diaspora Alliance would seek out partnership with organizations like IOM, which is the International Organization for Migration, the Africa Institute for Remittances, international NGOs such as AFORD, and the financial industrial players, both multilateral like the Africa Development Bank and member states, to develop research literature to provide more reliable sources of information on remittances. The meeting further commended Nigeria and Ghana for leading the way in formal integration of their diasporas into their country's development agenda. In Nigeria, through the issues of the first successful diaspora born in 2017, we can see that. Also, Ghana, through a series of official endorsements of the role of its diaspora in national development. So it is very critical that diaspora is mainstreamed into, if we are to go ahead and see the growth of Africa and the Africa diaspora. The second thing that was noted in the conference is the varying level of success attained by different member states in galvanizing their diaspora and expanding their visibility on the African stage. To aid in the transfer of best practices, the meeting resolved to collect, compile, and showcase success stories from different member states during the annual Diaspora Symposium. And so with that, I believe I've highlighted the 7 sub-themes. We did focus on just 2 recommendations. And after this symposium, we'll be putting it together and then sharing it out to the attendees as we make sure that we have a plan after that. And so with that, I'll thank you again for taking your time to listen in to the recommendation and the high-level statements that we compiled during the symposium. Thank you very much. And over to you, Professor Yeni. Oh, Prince Lakan, sorry.
Mute yourself.
Thank you so much, Anne, for that wonderful summary. And I think all the elements recommended were properly delivered, and I will just hand over to Prince Laker now. Prince Laker, are you there? Anne, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Professor Yeni.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, what we're trying to do, and the fact that we are very conscious of the quality of the recommendation. And in saying that, it's not just the recommendation that is important. We are keen on the next stage. We want something that is implementable. We also want to have something that we can market to the world and say this is what we have been able to do. To us, we are coming up with products, and this product is a unique product which we want to sell. So please, if anybody is expecting for 10 recommendations on one issue, we have not done that. What the next step we do is to expand all these issues. For example, just thought that is where we are at the moment. But the most important thing is the quality of the report we are coming out with. And I'm happy that Professor Yeni, that your comment also supports what you're trying to do. But please let us understand, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the report that is important. Because I'm sure Anne, you realize I didn't allow her to sleep because Sam and others. So me, you, we must. We just want them and to all of you who made this contribution, and to everybody who participated, we thank you.
Thank you.